Good evening. This is John Bushka, and that's a picture of downtown Austin, Texas, where I was for 5 days last weekend. Show you a few more pictures and a couple of videos. Went to a film festival. We'll talk about that's more of downtown. That's near a stone mine near Georgetown, Texas. That's more of the stone mine. Some more scenes downtown. There's the state capitol a few blocks from the hotel Sonesta where I stay. There's the theater where we had the film festival from Camp Film Fest. And we'll be talking about it in more detail later. But next, there's the Paramount Theater again. And then I drove on Monday. This is a food bank near San Antonio and some other scenes near San Antonio. I didn't really get to the Riverwalk. And then in Uvalde, that's the memorial from the May 24th, 2022 shooting incident. And it's more Uvalde. There's the memorial up close. There's downtown Uvalde. Here's some hill country. And I'll show you, this is downtown Austin. There's the state capitol. I was at 7th Street, which is about here. Or I think it's here in the Hotel Sonesta. It's down around here. And then the Paramount Theater was right next to it. And then another place called the ZY, which was a facility for little concerts and stuff, was over in here. And we showed, there was a new film called Two Sleepy People and a bunch of shorts. And they're going to make some of them available online soon for purchase. So I'm not reviewing them yet. Two Sleepy People sort of reminded me of an episode in my own life in 1978 where there were two other people at two different parts of the year, and there was a certain parallel there to an incident that happened with me when I was 34, 35 years old. So that was one thing. Let me show a couple of videos. Here, first of all, near the zone line near Georgetown, Texas. And then here's downtown Austin. That's the Paramount Theater where Creator Camp is having its film festival. And up there is the state capitol of Texas. Right here on Congress Street. Now, the University of Texas with the tower and that incident in the 60s is off to the east of downtown a little bit. You see it off of I-75, or I-35, I'm sorry, as you come in from the north. But it's very clear, very easy to see. I just didn't happen to take a picture of it. Show you a couple other videos on the Sony camera. 240. This is the Uvalde, a video of the Uvalde Memorial.
Children at the elementary school.
That was all that force on Monday.
May 24, 2022. I will focus on that. Something where we need some common sense and policy. Even though they're very polarized right now. Our whole country is very polarized.
And the CO2. That's the picture from it. And then the next thing is the hill country off of US 83 going north towards Junction.
North of Uvalde.
And picture of it. And also a couple of high resolution pictures. There's the stone mine. It actually said no cell phones allowed, although I took a picture with a cell phone. And that's a picture of Uvalde. The memorial. I did not go near the elementary school. I didn't think that was called for. And let me just talk about one other thing. I'm planning to do a fourth book in the Do Ask Do Tell series. I was planning to do it as a simulated movie where I would write as if it were a movie script and show you what a movie would show and show all the dialogue. I can do that on my own Google Drive or something, but that's just taking too long. What I'm going to do is go through the events in the earlier parts of my life, the William and Mary expulsion and the military service in the military and graduate school in the military and then starting working and coming out a second time and so forth. I'm going to highlight the major events, and why they're significant, what you learn from the event, and why a few of them, there's a mystery as to why they happened is still unsolved. But what you can learn from the event about and the lesson you're learning, the entire flow of information now applies to our debate today about identity politics and whether people get their rights by organizing into groups and having oppressor versus oppressed and being a marginalized group and getting treated differently by DEI or something, or whether they should stand up for themselves as individuals, which is what I believe. But that makes life very difficult for a lot of people to stick to truth and true definitions of things and concepts of things than holding people as individuals to how well they perform according to those ideas. That's why people want new identities, and why there's been a lot of pressure from academia and why it got introduced in the schools. And I'm going to talk about that. Some of this is unresolved. For example, in the issue of gender identity, there is what they call a homunculus in your central nervous system that maps your brain to all the organs, parts of your body, including reproductive parts. And if having problems with that being accurate can lead to coordination problems, which I had growing up, poor coordination, might lead in some cases, I suppose, to body dysmorphia. I didn't really have that, or to even gender identity problems. Maybe it would. I'm not able to find a conclusive answer. I'm reading about it and finding papers and everything, even in responsible sources. It's not very easy to get a complete answer on whether the brain really can create a separate gender identity in a way that's meaningful to other than what the person reports, the self-report and the circularity. It's not completely clear from what I'm able to find out right now. It's not absolutely clear. And just many of the other things that are going on, whether the birth rate issue, the fertility issue, the climate change issue, how money should work in the future compared to how it has in the past. There are other policy questions, tariffs, and how the tariffs and the debate about that. I could shed some light on that by even analyzing the things I had. But so that's what I want to do. But I'm going to have to spend some time and effort on that, and maybe not as much marketing, that's been doing of the 3 existing books. They do need to be brought up to date. And I'll stand by saying that they need to be up to date. The last one was in 2014. I didn't even mention groups. I didn't even mention transgender in that book. There's also the issue, though, that I could, if that short film, An Expulsion, which it looks at my William and Mary expulsion. I think, yes, if we could make that, it would make people interested in a feature film covering a lot more, like covering the military part and everything. And I did talk to people in Austin about this, and I got the general idea that a film like that would cost $50,000 to $60,000 to make, with the indoor scenes. Austin has a lot of indoor film studio space, and could do the indoor scenes there, and you'd have to do it, the other stuff in Williamsburg. But yeah, I still want to focus on that too. So the writing, and I talked about the other 4 things: the music, and there's a novel I'm interested in. I've talked about that before, but mainly the rewrite or the update of the Do Ask Do Tell series with a bringing up to date, particularly the whole issue of identity politics, is in order. Whether I'll be able to keep using that word mark, I don't know. It's conceivable that I could have to change it, and whether I'll use a nickname or use my real name, it's likely I'd use my real name, probably. But that's what I'm working on. And I'll give you more details of where I think that's going, I hope, in another week or so. And I do thank you for listening.